Okay, so it's depend on my experience as well related to the 4 micro skill in English. So, and most of this one I just combine with the IELTS test. You see, have you ever heard about IELTS test?
Yes, I heard.
Yeah. So IELTS test we focus on the 4 micro skill in English: speaking, writing, listening, and speaking. Right. So the first one is vocabulary tips. How to teach the vocabulary to the student. So we can teach the vocabulary for many methods how to teach your vocab to your student in the class or outside the class. So the first one, you have to tell them to cultivating the reading habit. When you cultivate or when you guide your student to read any text or any passage, so they can easy to remember the word, even for those words they don't understand or they don't can catch up with the meaning. So whenever you start with the reading through the vocabulary, so the student can build their vocabulary during the reading. So the teacher have to guide the student with the reading in daily. And number two, sometimes if you don't know or if you cannot guess the meaning, you can use the dictionary, soft dictionary or the hard dictionary on your hand, because dictionary also can help students as well as the teacher to know the meaning as well as the part of speech. Okay. And one more thing, you can use flashcard. You know the word flashcard? Yeah, like the picture. For example, if you just only show the letter and the word to the student, sometimes the student, they don't mean they are not smart at imagination. So you can use any the real picture. For example, like you can use the banana picture, the real banana picture to the student, and sometimes you can get student to guess the meaning in the English word. Okay, so this is we call flashcard. And one more thing, even if you teach your student those words, sometimes you can get your student to make any dialogues or conversation or make any sentences in short 1 minute or 2 minutes in order to get student understand or they can use those words or not. Okay, so teaching vocabulary in English, you have to not only follow these 4 criteria, but this one I just quoted from the IL book, tips that we can teach the student the vocabulary, right? Yeah. So you get it for this point, everyone? So this is the first tip for the vocab. And next point, the second, listening tips. So in order to get your student with the listening tips, the first one, you have to understand the keyword of the sentence first. For the listening, you can get your student to read any sentences, and then you can get your student to guess any the keyword from that question. For example, if they ask you the question, what is your name, for example, or what is the author name, so the keyword of the sentence, this is the name. So whenever the students start listening, they just focus only the name of any author from the listening. Okay. And number two, for anything which is near you, mean near the student, you can tell the student to keep them with properly placed, like ruler, like book, because listening, you have to make your mind like meditation. You have to sit with the properly placed. Whenever you act your performance, your activity, sometimes your mind cannot keep in the properly place. In order to avoid this one, you can tell your student to put any study material like ruler, like book in properly placed, or can get your student to put all those study material to the bag as well. And number 3, during the listening, you can get your student to pay attention during listening. Don't talk, don't make any sounds or voice, or don't disturb the classmate. You can tell the rule to your student. And number 4, listen for the specific information. Whenever you get your student to listen, you have to tell them with the specific that link to the question what they ask. For example, if the listening want to know about what is the author 8, so this one they want to ask the number of 8. So when a student start listening, so you can get your student to listen for the specific information in order to answer the question. And the last point, whenever you get your student to listen, from the other speaker to the other speaker, they are different accents or dialect. You know the word dialect, everyone? Like yes, like brother Bunsong, so his hometown is in Siem Reap. Whenever we just go to visit brother Bunsong house, so brother Bunsong will invite you to sit, but in his region they just use different dialect. Brother Bunsong, like this, something like this, right?
Yeah, that's the phone cúi.
Okay. Yes. But if you compare to the other place, it's not like that, okay? Yeah. So this is we call dialect. So for the listening as well, for the speaker, they just come from the same country, but they use different dialect. For example, for those speaker, they just from the other area, but under the United Kingdom, they just whenever they just speak, they always use with the full sentence, like he is a student. But for the other region, they just use the different dialect, like he's a student. You get it? He's a student. So the answer is very different. Okay, very different, and dialect is also different. But in totally, the meaning is the same, but they use different accents and dialect. You get it? What I mean? Number 5.
Yeah.
Sure.
So next, reading. Yes, reading is also the part of 4 micro skill. Whenever you get your student read anything, you have to get your student to read the question first. Why we need your student to read the question first? Because we want to understand, we want to catch up with the meaning in each question. You get it? For example, if they want you to answer the question in 5 questions from the reading, the first question they ask you that, what is the author name? For example. So the keyword of this question is name. So the student have to understand, have to catch up with the meaning of the keyword in the first question. And second question as well. They want to know the purpose of the question. So that's why we get the student to read the question first. So number 2, when they just find any word or keyword in each question, so the student will catch up with the answer from the text. Okay, so this is number 2. And number 3, actually, in order to, especially for the examination, you have to use your time constraint with the reading skill. For the technique in reading skill, actually we use 2 techniques. The first one is scanning technique, and the second for skimming techniques. For scanning technique, we use with the specific information in order to relevance with the question. You get it? With the question. But for the skimming, for those information that it is not relevant to the question, you also know, and relevant to the question, you also know. This is because skimming techniques. But during the exam, you have to control with your time constraint. You have to use only the scanning techniques. Because scanning technique, they can help you only the information that relevant to the question. You have to find the answer that relevant to the question. This is number 3. And number 4, when you read, you have to find the answer. Don't try your best to read all. Read all the sentence or read all the paragraph. You just use only the scanning technique. Using your scanning technique, you have to find answer as well. This techniques is always happen during your examination, especially for the IELTS test. Because during your exam, the examiner have to control the time. You have to use your time constraint. If you cannot control your time, so you cannot answer the question on time. You get it? So this is what the IELTS tell you for the reading tips. You get it? Okay, next, speaking tips. Speaking tips, if you are poor at vocabulary, how can you improve? So the first one, in order to be smart at speaking, you have to remember the vocabulary. Without the vocabulary, how can you speak? So the first one, you have to remember the vocab. And number 2, among of remembering the vocab, you have to conduct with broadly idea. You have to expand your idea. Not only this way, but you have to expand more than. If you have less idea, so sometimes we don't know words, or we don't know any contents how to reply to your partner. So number 2, you have to expand. You have to comprehensive. You have to be comprehensive idea. Okay. And number 3, before you speak or reply to your partner, you have to understand your partner question. If you don't understand your partner question, how can you reply the information to your partner? For example, if they ask you, how are you? And you answer that, my name is Mr. John. No, it's the wrong question. It is wrong replying to your partner. So in order to avoid this way, you have to understand your partner question. And the last, whenever you get the question or get any information from your partner, you have to use your suitable speech or word to the partner. Mean polite word. Do not use impolite word to your partner, but you have to use suitable, sharp word, sharp speech to your partners. Okay, so these are the speaking tips. Okay, I think this is the last among our 4 micro skill for the writing tips. For the writing, it also relevant with the vocabulary, and you have to be combined with the writing rules as well. How to write a paragraph, how to write an essay. If you don't know the rule of the writing, it means that you cannot how to start, how to write, and how to end your writing skill. Actually, for the first point, before you write, you have to understand the topics, the main topic as well. What is the main topics? Mean the topic that you will start your writing. Okay. And number 2, you have to brainstorm. I mean that whenever you teach your student, you have to elicit them with the brainstorm. What is brainstorm? For example, if you want your student to write about online learning, so how can we use any computer program that relevant to the online learning? You can brainstorm like Google Meet, Microsoft Form, Microsoft Office, and one more thing, Zoom, and so on, right? Yeah, so this is the brainstorm. And number 3, you have to elicit your student with the format of the writing skill. Whenever you start or you get your student to write a paragraph, so what are the forms of the paragraph? And what are the form of the essay? Eh? And the last, when you start your writing, you have to indentation for the paragraph. For the paragraph, you have only start with indentation. You know indentation? And for the essay, you have to start with 3 indentation up for the essay. Okay? So this is the rule. This is the writing tips for your guiding to your student. Okay? So I think it's finished. Any question?